later is going to say that, and so it is. And this is volume 30 of live coding in F#. I'm doing this long-running code kata of building a get ride application. In this case, it's Xamarin.Forms and F#. And so I've been preaching this idea of specification as a library and inspired by domain-driven design. So I have a ride.specification that has some operations that are related to the ride domain. Okay, here's a before ride module that has request price, request ride, cancel ride, and I don't know, some other things. This handler doesn't look like it goes in here. This handler can, that looks like it should go in language. Of course, it's kind of abstract, but you look like you should go down here, my friend. Okay. And honestly, this handlers probably should be in the view model, if anything. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, let me kill all this and throw this handlers over here. Okay. Control Shift B. And yeah. I kind of feel like this handler should go inside my ride.view models, but whatever. Anyway, so if we go back to the operations, you have these modules. One is a before ride module, the other one's during ride module, the other one's after ride module. And so during your ride, you have a, what's this over here? That looks like it probably should be in a, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. During your ride, you want to request a location of where you're currently at. And that can basically post the latest location to the get ride server, right? And this is like your GPS coordinate or something. Then after ride, you have a ride ended response, which takes the end of ride information. And whenever you see unit, then it's likely that there will be some side effects that result from this, such as navigation or data persistence. In addition to that, there's also for after a ride, you have a pay fee operation, which it takes a price as input, and you'll get a result that, if successful, will be a ride receipt, else it's an error description if it's an error. So that's what I've just been messing around with. And so that's your ride domain, specifically your ride specification library, which essentially is a specification that identifies the operations that need to be implemented, as well as the ubiquitous language of that particular domain that can be leveraged as parameters of these operations, amongst other things. Your account domain is very similar to the ride domain in regards to its design. So if we examine the account.specification library, we will have the operations for this account specification is divvied up between various modules. There's a module called bank cards. There's a module called transactions. Okay. Your bank cards, you have add bank card, remove bank card, query bank cards, attempt add, attempt remove. For your transactions, you have pay, query receipt, query cancel receipts. Or let me start over. Query ride receipts, query cancel receipts. Yeah. And my unit tests are all down here, docked to my bottom right of my Visual Studio IDE. All that stuff should pass. Right now there's 24 tests. Repeat, all that should pass. So the solution is compiling. Now the solution is discovering tests. Now the solution is executing these tests. All 24 tests pass. Okay. And running this, right now the default page is bank cards, and that's the page that I'm currently working on. I use the combination of, well, it's really a two-stage approach or two-phase approach, interchangeably, stage, phase. I did type-driven development in which I identified the operations. With those operations being identified, that process actually fleshed out the various nouns or ubiquitous language of that given domain. And then once I had that established, even though there was no logic in there, but just types, I took those types and I ended up doing test-driven development with those types. And so that's where I'm at right now. Right now, this is like the bank cards page, right? And so I'm currently working on this page, and you should be able to remove a bank card, and you should probably be able to add a new bank card as well. So if we go to the XAML of that, let me go to this account domain and let me scope to that. And for the account.ui, there's a bank cards.xaml over here. Okay. And well, there's the add bank card right here, right? Which is the new card. And there's another button over here that's supposed to be remove bank card, hence remove. And that doesn't appear to be showing up anywhere. Okay. Why is that? All right, well, let's look at this. So let me lower this down some. And my OCD probably wants to put in some cosmetic updates, right? So for example, we already have a label style in here. That's where our two labels are looking at right now. And so right now it's screaming that for the label style, there probably should be a margin to serve as some padding, right? And so you have property, and I don't think we have padding, no, but we do have margin. And I'll just set that to 5 everywhere. And that value needs to be consistent, flushed with all the other stuff. And then we see that our margin has now taken an effect. Okay. What else do I want to do? Well, I don't know. It looks like we can. Uh-oh, come here. Come back. It looks like we can do something with our vertical options, right? So over here, vertical options, and maybe that could be center. Okay. Something like that. Uh-oh, go back to the emulator. And that doesn't look like it does anything. Not at all. What else can we do? Well, we can probably say the text alignment. Maybe we want to do something with that. Text alignment. So vertical text alignment. Maybe we want to say that that is center. And I don't really see much of a difference with that either. Now let's look at this 5. The margin is left, top, right, bottom. Well, we just care about the top. Well, no, we don't. We care about the left and the right for right now. So 0, 5. And so, yeah, you know what? And I guess I can use a, right. Bottom is going to be 5. That's the same thing as what we had originally. Say 0 right here. And that doesn't really do anything. But I still want to left, top, right, bottom. Yeah, IDK. bring this over here. And bring this over here. Uh-oh. Okay. And I guess I do want that left one right there. And vertical options, I have that center. Vertical text alignment, I have that center. Does it need to be center? And no. Does vertical options need to be center and expand? Is that going to make a difference? Doesn't look like it. So that's something I just have to look at. But I mean, it's no big deal right now. But what is a big deal is that I don't see this remove. Well, let me collapse everything. Control MO. Can I do that in XAML? Control MO. Looks like I can't do Control MO in XAML. What I wanted to do is collapse everything and just examine this button over here, which is the remove button, in which how does this work? The list view does not appear to have a style to it. And the list view is taking up the entire area at least the width of the mobile device, at least inside this emulator. And that's probably why this remove button is not visible, because this remove button is supposed to be the first row, the second column. This list view is supposed to be the first row and the first column. Okay. And that's interesting because it's not working out like that. Now, we have 2 rows, we have 2 columns. Okay. So the question is, do I need to add a width request to this list view? And we'll say that that is 300. Would that change anything? And it does. So now we have this remove button right here. Okay. So that was at 300, and maybe it doesn't need to be 300. Maybe it could be 275. Okay. That remove button, which is down here, is this. Both buttons take from this base style button, right? The base style button is right up here. Okay. Now, something that we probably want to do is we want to probably add a horizontal options. So we do not horizontal, vertical options. And we probably want to say that that is going to be start, maybe. I don't know. And yeah, that works for right now. What else do we want to do? Well, let's add a margin here. So let's add a over here. Say that there needs to be a margin, and that value of that margin is going to be 5 all the way around. Something like that. Okay, well, that remove button doesn't appear to be respecting the right margin of the page. In addition to that, that remove button is pretty big. Okay. So what can we do? Well, we could go go over here and we have a remove card button style. And does this whole thing, do I really have to say remove card and add card button style? Or can I just say add button style, remove button style? I don't know. I guess I'll leave it the way it is right now. So over here, I'll have this is the remove card button style, and no errors there. And then over here, I'll say this is going to be a add card button style, and there shouldn't be any issues over there. Okay. So now I'll go up here and I say, well, we already have the text color set, but I can say that I want the width request. Let me go back. I want for the remove, I want the width request of the remove button to be 100, where the base button style is set to 100. I mean 150, but I want for the remove button not to be 150. I want that to be 100 for right now. So that now gets smaller. What else? Is that okay? Is that acceptable? Well, I want for that remove button, I want the horizontal alignment to be to the right. Okay. So I want this, is it horizontal options? I want that to be to the end. Okay. Something like that. And that didn't look like it did anything. Do I say in and expand? And that didn't look like it did anything either. Let's go back to end. Okay. And what we could do is your for the list view. Okay. So for the width of our grid over here, we want this to be asterisk maybe. And that looks better now. Okay. Now what? I don't like the height of the remove button. So for the remove button, let me see. I want to say that for the remove button, I want to say that I want the height to change. So there's I guess I can do it right here. There's a height request. Okay. And I want that to be, I don't know, 40. What does that look like? What does 40 look like? Looks like that right there. Okay. That might be okay. There should probably be a difference between the colors of the remove button and the new card button. And so I'm not sure what those colors should be, but I feel like there should probably be a background color, and that remove button should probably be like maroon. Is maroon even on here? Okay. Something like that. And okay. And well, for the add button over here, well, I want your background color, Mr. Add Bank Card background color. I want you to be like a dark green. Is there a dark green here? I get a dark green like that. And something like this, maybe. Okay. Um, anything else? Well, no, I think that's it right now. So you can select this, and then you can select this, And well, that remove button should only be enabled if we have a selected card, right? So down here, we should have a, how does this work? Your command, how's this done? There's two ways of doing this. I think there's an additional parameter. I thought, maybe not. Nope, not in there. But within your view model, you have can execute. But okay. So I'm going to have over here for the remove button is enabled equal to binding, and it's going to be card, okay? But you're going to have a converter on here, and that converter is going to be a static resource of, it'll be instance to bool converter, something like that, okay? So if there's an but that card is actually an option type. So we won't have instance to bool converter. We'll have a exists to bool converter, but exists is kind of like a we'll say option to bool converter, okay? And so that option to bool converter isn't created yet, but this is going to be basically a class that implements IValue converter, okay? So we need to, let's go ahead and kill this for right now. And we need to, within our account.ui, we already have a card option converter down here. All right, let's add another converter. And we'll call this a, well, we already named it option to bool converter.cs, like that. Okay. So we have our option to bool converter over here. All right. And well, we can do that right there. And I don't need that over there. Okay. And I don't need you over here. Okay. And maybe it should be public. By default, it's internal. So that should be okay. But what's over here? Yeah, I have public over there for my other converter. Okay. So let's make that public. And then we say that's going to implement IValue converter, like something like that. Okay. And so we're doing this IValue converter and we just implement it like that. Okay. So now we have this convert thing. Okay. Well, what do you want to do, Willis? Well, we say var card equals value as what, Willis? Well, it's going to be as a validated card. Okay. And so that's in my core library. That's where that's defined at. Apparently in C# I have to use a semicolon. Okay. So now what, Willis? Well, I need to know, well, it's a validated card option. So I think you have to do something like this. Reference F#.core, I think, to do this. How do you do this? How do you do this, Willis? Let me see. F#. How do you do this? Let me see. I thought that I have a NuGet package on here, which is F# core, and I do not have any references to F# core. F#.core, pendejo. Okay, so now we're over here, and you can install that. Okay. I'm installing F#.core onto my UI library for my account domain. So now I can go over here, and hopefully, Willis, you should be recognized. You're not recognized, are you? Okay, why aren't you recognized, Willis? Let me go down here, and in NuGet, I have F#.core. Okay. So if I could say F#, oh, it's not gonna let me do that. How do I do this? Let me first try to build everything. And of course, I'm still going to have the errors, right? Not for this, well, this line if it doesn't recognize options still, and it's not because I don't have any namespace that I'm importing that would give it a reason to compile. So within F#.core, there should be an option type, right? So it's still building, but I just want things to sync up just enough that maybe it'll provide me an option to reference the F# core library that I recently just added to this UI project. Okay, so this is spinning its wheels, and every time I compile my solution, I'm reminded that I need to get a new machine. This is 16 gigs of RAM. I need 64 gigs of RAM. Then I'll feel like a man. Okay. So this is still building. Who knows what it's doing, but it's still building. Yeah, and you're taking a really long time to build. What are you doing back there? So let me check out the output window, and it's building app.android. Okay. And so we're back over here now. It's not building. I still have my errors. I don't know how to. I'm almost positive. Do I make it a lowercase o? All right. So let's figure something out. I should be able to say using F#, and it has no clue what I'm talking about. I want to say F#.core, but it's not even giving me intelligence about F#. Okay. So let me go to my bank cards view model, and the bank cards view model, this card is a validated card option. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is, I know I have F# core in here. All right, that's known. The question is, I thought it was as simple as saying option like that and control dot, and it'll give me an opportunity to reference F# core, or if it's uppercase, which I don't think it should be, it should just show up in IntelliSense as an option. And if that didn't work, I would say F#, but that's not showing up in my IntelliSense. So let's try to figure something else out. If I do F# here, there's Microsoft.F#. Okay. And then there's core. Okay. And then can I get an option? There's an option module, and then there's an F# option type. Okay. And in here, I can probably say validated card like that. Okay. And so now what? Well, that's kind of what I want. So it's Microsoft and then F# option validated card. So maybe I can do something like using, do something like that. Okay. And then maybe, just maybe, I can take this over here and do something like this, maybe. Okay. And then maybe, just maybe, I can say if, and in C# I have to use parentheses everywhere. If card dot value, and what is value? Value is going to be, what is value? If what type is value? Value is supposed to be a validated card F# option. Okay, I get that. But how do I say if you're something or nothing? Get the value of a sum option. A null reference exception is raised if the option is none. Whoa. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to ask you if you have a value, right? So how do I ask you if you have a value? How am I supposed to do that? Get the value of a sum option. Well, if that's if you are a sum option, but I don't know if you're a sum option. So I just want to say if there's something or nothing. Like how do I do that? And you're not telling me F sharp option, right? That is the right type. The type of optional values when used from other CLI languages, the empty option is the null value. Okay. The empty option is the null value. All right. So the type of optional values when used from other CLI languages, the empty option is the null value. All right. So it sounds like based on that, if this is not an instance, this value should be nulled out if I'm doing C# interop. And so then I can say uh, if card equals null, then you would return false. Else you would return true, something like that. Now I think there's a way that you can use like the double question mark or something. Let me see. Convert to conditional. I don't like that either. There should be another way in C. I'll just leave it like this right now. All right. So here's the option to bool converter. And now maybe in our C# library, we should create a folder called converters. Okay. And then we just throw these two converters in here. Okay. And so we have this, I could kill you card option. No, that's card option converter. Hold up. I already have a card option converter. And then I have an option to bool converter over here. So I already had this over here. Why did I do that? The value. Okay, so let me see this over here. Selected item is card option converter. I already had this in here. Of course, I think this logic is wrong. There's yeah. So let me backtrack some. And up here, I was doing the remove button is enabled. And that should be based on this option to bool converter that I just added. Okay. This card option converter. Okay. They're returning two different types. That's the difference. Okay. So that's still going to throw an exception if nothing's selected. But over here, I need to go into my XAML and say that let's close the styles in here. And I need to make sure that it's account.ui converters. Okay. This is account.ui converters. Okay. Same thing over here. So then in my XAML, I'll go ahead and try to build it. But in my XAML, I should now have a define this new converter. And now I'm going to say that this is going to be the option to bool converter over here. And go over here, and this is going to be option to bool converter, and then just paste that over here. Okay. The option to bool converter is used down here. Okay. So the option to bool converter, I'll put a breakpoint on that, and I'll attempt to run the application again. And the emulator is prepping itself, deploying to device, running Oreo. And it's navigating to a page. And I expect this convert breakpoint to be triggered. That's what I expect. And it is triggered. Okay. The value is null. So if value is null, it returns false, right? Or if card is null, it returns false. I hit F5. Okay. I return back to my emulator, and what I expect is this remove button to be disabled based on this convert, right? And so if the card, if we don't have a card, then false is returned from this option to bool converter. And so this remove right here, I have is enabled for this button. I bound to the card, and I set the converter to a static resource of option to bool converter. That is enabled should be false. Now, the only thing that I can think of is there is a binding error. So in my output window, I can look for a binding, and nothing shows up. Okay. So I don't see binding anywhere in here. That could be an error that's reported in the output window. Okay. So why is my option to bool converter being ignored? Okay. If we put that on the clipboard and then we just say false and hard code that, it still looks like it's enabled. Now, maybe it's just because of, if I hit new card, like all this stuff is being pressed. If I press on here, that looks like it's being pressed. So why is it that when I say is enabled right here, that it's being ignored? All right, which gives me confidence that I'm not doing anything wrong in my binding for the is enabled, because when it's set to false, it's still being ignored. right? If it was disabled, then I kind of expect the remove to be kind of like gray or something, the font color. I mean, this is buttoned down and it's responding to it, right? So I don't think that's my fault. If I can look and say Xamarin.Forms button uh, is is enabled bug. And this sounds really familiar. This sounds really familiar. And hell's bells, I'm the one that actually wrote this on the Stack Over or on the Xamarin.Forms forums. Okay. Setting buttons is enabled to false does not disable button. Yeah. And they say try using a binding. And they say does a button appear enabled or disabled? Also, is this happening on one platform or all three? And yeah, so this is back in 2015. So this looks like a Xamarin bug. Has anyone submitted a bug report? Or if it isn't happening in other parts? Wrapping a content view around a disabled button does not resolve the anomaly. That's what I said when probably someone asked me to do that. The only way I got to disable was by binding it to a relay command using, yeah. Okay. It seems to be related to button's command property. If the command property is, oh, okay. Good stuff. Who are you? You Philip Ochu. Yeah. Okay. So the reason why this button is enabled, being set to false, is not working could be because my view model for remove, hold on, where's it at? Remove bank card. This over here is true. Okay. So, okay. So here we can put in a function called can remove, maybe. And we can make that take a unit as an argument. And this can remove would be let can remove, and that's going to take a unit equal, and that's just going to say, I don't even have to say that. I don't even have to say can remove. All I have to say is undo all that. All I have to say is over here, I could say card. Okay. So over here, I can say, I could say card and card and is sum, and that's it. All right. So then I can go back to my bank cards.xaml and I can undo that. And then I can say, I'm going to comment you out. And then I'm going to hit the run button. And hopefully within my, let's go back to bank cards. This remove bank card command, the second parameter is basically a predicate for can it execute that command. I say you can execute that command if the card is some value, right, which is right here. So now if I go back over here to my page, the remove button is disabled, okay? You are a smart man, Philip Ochu. So good stuff. I wish I could give you props somehow, but yeah, this does help. How do I thank you? I don't know how to thank him. Am I signed in? Oh, it says I can't thank him because I'm not signed in. Okay. How do I thank you, Philip? Oh, Philip, you're my hero. Oh, yes. So, like that. And then I can say, this is the answer. Say, yes, this is the answer. Okay. And so now I accepted that answer from 2 years ago. All right, now what? So I feel like the button for that remove should only be colored maroon if we actually have a button that's selected, right? Question is, if I select this Visa over here, this remove button doesn't get enabled. All right, so that's something else I have to resolve. So there should be a selected item. How does this work? There needs to be some event or some notification when I select the item on here. And when that occurs, this remove button needs to be enabled because the card property of the view model has a value, right? So I'm not sure if I have the gas to do that right now, but if we go to bankcards.xaml, then we can go to this over here, and there's a selected item in this card option converter. Okay. This card option converter, this right here. And so this should get fired when I toggle, and it does. So the value here is, it's a card, okay? And so that's the convert back that gets triggered. And something tells me that if I do F11, it should hit my view model. Okay. And I don't want it to be null. I want it to be that card. So I think that I just return the value. Return the value. And I think when I do that, I'm curious how that's going to work. This is the option, right? So I need to return. I need to return a card option. And there's a couple of things, right? So like the selected item, if I go back to my XAML, yeah, there's a couple of things. This right here is a, yeah, that's fine. And when I select a card, this right here, this is a rendered card type because all of its properties are strings. And so what I need to do is I need to take this rendered card type in which everything is a string, and I need to convert it to a validated card because a validated card is what this property card is right here. This is a validated card, right? Validated card option. And the cards, plural, is an observable collection of a card renderer. And so within within the card option converter, I need to take this card renderer instance or value, and I need to convert that into a validated card option. Okay. And the way I would do that off the top of my head is I would create a function that, for whatever, I don't know what the name would be. It would be card renderer to validated card. And that's going to be in probably my core library. So if I hit the home button, then there would be a app foundation core. And in here, I would have see, here's the renderer right here. Shift F12. And there's a to validated card, which is right here. Oh yeah. Okay. So I have that already. I have that function already. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to kill this app, and well, I don't know why all the white space is right there. And why do people want to call me when I'm recording a video? And so what I want to do is I want to say that this value is a var card renderer, whatever, equal value as card renderer, like that. Okay, so that should be okay. And then from there, well, you need to be within braces like that, because we have multiple lines of code. So then we can then say, what did I name that? That was called to validated card. So then I say, let, I'm in let var card, say validated card equals, and then we can call this to validated card, which is in, fortunately, it's in my, grid.core library. So you can say grid, why does that call it grid.core? Oh, get ride.core. Okay. Say get ride.core dot, and then you could do something like that. And that's going to take your card renderer, and that should be fine. And so you can get rid of that, but this needs to be an option, right? So then you can say, then we can say over here, return, and we can say, I don't know how to do this. It's an option. I don't know. What do you call it? F sharp. Oh, F sharp option up here, right? First of all, do I really need to have this entire thing, or can I just have a using and then this right here? All right, and then I have a F sharp option validated card, and then hopefully within parentheses I can just put in a validated card, and of course I'll have to say new on there because we're in C sharp. All right, hopefully I could do something like that. And I think this should work. I think this should work, right? Because this automatically means that you have something. So then I can run this application, and remember, put a breakpoint over here. And all this is to get my remove button enabled when I select an item within my list view, that item being a bank card that I want to remove. Hence, the remove button should be enabled when I have a bank card selected, right? So we're running the app again, and sooner or later, this app should render itself to me. Sooner or later. It's a reminder that I need my. Hold up. What is everybody calling me? All right, so application, you should be launching yourself by now, because I want to test my latest update. I want my 64 gig RAM PC. I want all this to just be lightning fast, and there should be a huge difference between 64 and 16. All right, 16, 32. What's 32 and 16? Is that 48? Yeah, I think that's 48. All right, so now I have an error. All right, not sure why I have an error. Deploy failed. Why did that fail? Let's uninstall this getride.app, and let's try to run this again. Yes, confirm. Let's try to redeploy to this application. And while that's doing whatever, I guess I can get rid of this over here. Okay. What I didn't check is I didn't make sure that all my tests are running, since I updated the view model with a, well, we should still, yeah, I still need to run all my tests. So starting deployment for the device running Oreo, waiting for emulator to be ready. That's my emulator over here. And hopefully this button should be disabled and then enabled when I select a list view item. And then I'll just go ahead and take my break and kill. Oh, why are you? There were deployment errors continue. Why were there deployment errors? Emulator is not ready to be used. That doesn't tell me anything. Yeah, continue anyway. And none of that happens. All right. Let's kill this emulator. And then launch the entire application again. Let's run my test. Do that before. And that's taking a while. All this stuff should be built. Like, you should only be discovering tests. You shouldn't try to rebuild anything. All right, all the tests pass. Run this again, which is going to launch the emulator. I'm going to go to the beach, so this needs to hurry up. So start debugging Android application. Okay, this is progress. Now we have page navigation going on now. Okay. And we have our convert back, which is null for right now. That's expected. Ah, shit. I should have checked to see if this was null. So now I'm being a professional debugger. I should have checked to see if that was null, and if it wasn't null, then let's see if value equals null, then return value. Okay. And then down here, you have that over here. So we'll put a breakpoint over here. Oh, come on, let's go, man. Where'd he go? And navigation is taking place. Okay. So now we select Visa. Okay. The value is not null, so we hit this breakpoint over here. Now, this value should be of type card renderer. That should be straight. Okay. And that is straight. So then we say validated card equals to validated card, a card renderer. All right. That should be straight too. That is straight. Then we say return new F# option that operates on a validated card, and we pass in the validated card. Okay. When I do that, I want to go to my bank cards, and I want to put a breakpoint on the set over here. Okay, so hit F9 for a breakpoint there, and then I'll just hit F11 and F11, and I'm over here now. Okay, so now that's going to set my card, right? And that's what I want. Hit F5, and that remove button is not enabled, even though I just set that card. So now you have to figure out, why didn't that happen? Well, there's my memory, it's kind of foggy, but I need to re-notify the XAML. I kind of like need to refresh the UI that, how do I do this? I ran into this before, and I think, man, I did this before. I can't remember the exact details, but this current issue is there's a notification that needs to take place that I need to do manually within my view model, so that it notifies the binding system again that, hey, I do have a card. It's not none. I do have some card, and that it should just work. So if I go back into my XAML over here, and also I'll check my output window for any type of funky errors. I don't see anything. I could type in binding. There's nothing there. Okay. And if we revisit the XAML, it is remove card button, which is this here. Okay. The command is remove bank card. Okay. And that is going to be there's some things I have to do here, but I'm not going to do it anymore. I'll come back, I'll take a breather, and I'll get this working. So I'm out. Peace. And stop broadcast.